Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I hope well. Again, it's daylight savings time, so I didn't even know. I get up and I look at my watch. It's 8:30. I go to the kitchen to have my lemon and olive oil, and it's 9:30. And I go, oh shit, it must be daylight savings. But because my clock, my watch, my phone, whatever it is automatic, as is my computer. It was saying 8:30. So I didn't really even know it was daylight savings until I looked at the stove, but it's daylight savings. So right now it's just about 11 o'clock. Hope everybody is well, had a good Halloween. It's some sort of unity holiday in Russia, Daria says. The 2nd through the 5th is Unity Day. We don't have one of those here. It would be nice. Instead, we got Elitist Day, which is every day. College football, I hit my 25 unit lock, which was Old Mississippi State and Arkansas over. I got that watching the Old Mississippi State Texas game, and they lit him up with Blake Shapen, who I know from Baylor, good quarterback. Must have got beat. I think he got injured and got beaten out by Robertson. So he transfers to Old Mississippi State because they sucked last year. And he lit up Texas. I mean, here's this great defense, Texas, and they put up 38 on Texas. Well, then I looked at Arkansas. Then they're playing Arkansas, and the total is 66. So in our world, 60. I see Arkansas play A&M to an 80-point game. It was 45-40. So what do I take out of it? Arkansas's got no defense. Old Mississippi State's got no defense because Arch Manning beat them 45-38 or something. So I got two very strong offenses and two very weak defenses. And here's where the stats kind of lie. Arkansas's got a 32 defense, and I know Notre Dame killed them. But Old Mississippi State's got a 23. And you're going, oh, what's a 20? But when you watch the Texas game, it exposed both the Texas defense and the Mississippi State defense. A good quarterback just rips them apart. So Texas, pretty good run defense, but no pass defense. So I look at the 66, and I had ignored this game when I did my locks. My lock was Ohio State under, which we lost by a point. USC over, they decided to run the ball. So that lock got killed both sides. Okay, I'd rather have it lose both sides. But the big one, the Old Mississippi State over, they go 38-35, a 73. We only need 60. First score I saw was third quarter, 35-28, which was 63. We needed 60. It was over in the third. And that's what I love about these over games. So we hit that. We got 3 locks in the pros, but one of them's been used, the Baltimore -1 lock, that one. So I have 2 locks going in the pros. One of them is the partner with the Old Mississippi State because I couldn't replay Ohio State or USC over. I already had them. And so it led me to, do I see another lock? And I was tempted on Cincinnati, Utah over, which went way over. That's where my spider senses came in. When you look at it, Utah, good defensive team, 14, Cincinnati a 19. But I knew Cincinnati played a 30-point, gave up 30 to Kansas and 30 to Iowa State. And I know Utah has Dampier back. This is a big game for Utah, and they were laying 10. They won by like 30. It was like a 60-point game. As I called, we only needed, it was 51, I believe, 54. So we needed something in the 40s. We got in the 60s. But that's where my spider senses came in. Now, I almost locked that with New Mexico State, but I didn't. I just played Utah regularly. Well, it was overall a good day, except for the Ohio State under, which watching the game, it was a joke. Ohio State's running the ball out at halftime, just before half. The guy runs and his forward motion stopped, and then they rip the ball out and they call it a fumble. And then Penn State scores, and there goes our under because of a shit call on a forward progress being stopped, but we'll keep the play going, and then they rip the ball out 20 minutes after, and the refs call it a fumble. It's the worst roughing and umpiring I've ever seen. We'll get into game 7 in a minute. a total farce, a total fix. It made the Black Sox look like Boy Scouts. So big wins. We had Georgia over Florida. They were just laying one. Indiana just is awesome. The Mississippi over South Carolina, I hit that one. Oklahoma, Tennessee over, hit that one. USC, Nebraska, I lost. I had over 52, and USC decides to run. Nebraska decides to run. I couldn't, that's what I hate is these explosive teams, and they decide they're going to run. What a joke that was. Florida State actually killed Wake Forest. I stayed away. Georgia Tech lost. I was shocked. Notre Dame didn't play. That was a fixed game because Notre Dame went from 28 to 30. And when it did that, I smelt problems. And then they went 25-10. When Notre Dame scores 50 a game and BC's got a 34 defense and they score 25, that was a fixed game. That was, you can win, but you can't win by 20. And then it went to 30, right? And clearly it was fixed. I have Texas Tech over K-State. They win because their quarterback was playing. The free play, Baylor. Unfortunately, UCF didn't come to play, and they sucked. And 30-3, I thought about Baylor, but I played it over. SMU, I had beating Miami, and they beat them straight out in overtime. Vanderbilt, of course, we win them at Daggio. We needed some late help, but we got it, and we won. I love Arch Manning, a 2-yard pass to the side. Not even a 2 yards, it's a zero pass. The guy runs 75 yards. So let's add, what's his name? Archie Manning throws for 300 yards. Yeah, most of his passes were 2 yards. It was all screen passes and these little sideway passes. He's terrible. We have Duke over Clemson. Duke wins. So the Vandy Duke teaser comes through again. Ohio State, I thought about Ohio State, and then the total was 44.5. And just disappointed. All these long passes, Penn State, I don't know how they got 14. And that was it. So it was a pretty big day. And again, the big lock wins. Mississippi State, Arkansas over 60. And it goes to, what was it? I think it goes to 78 or something like that. But now in the game, we know our overs, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi State. We even hit the over Oklahoma, Tennessee, 50, and that game got into the 60s. Oklahoma, I knew you could score on them passing as Joey Aguilar, because what did Mississippi do, right? So you get an idea by common teams. So we hit it pretty good. Now let's get to the NFL, and then we'll get to the World Series. Today, this line just keeps jumping. Houston, 240.5. 5 minutes ago, it was 2.5. So it's 2 and 40.5. Denver, the B team, Houston, the B team, 19 defense, 15 defense. Denver 24-2 in a teaser, 8-0 this year. Houston 23-3 in a teaser, 7-0 this year. So very good teaser game. It's probably a 3-point game. Indy and Pitt. Indy is 3 and 51.5, up from 50. Indy's just, it reminds me of college Indy. They run it down your throat with Taylor. They have a decent defense, a 19. However, Pitt with Aaron Rodgers isn't going to just sit there and let him get killed. So Pitt's an over team with a weak defense, as we know. So it's a hard dog to play Pitt, getting the 9. They just don't have the defense anymore for it. We'll see what we do with that game. San Francisco goes to New York, 10 a.m. for them. The Niners, 2.5, 48.5. They're the under team with the 21 defense, and it looks like Daniel Jones again goes against the Giants, an E team with the 27 defense. They got a weak defense and dirt. And what you have, good morning, David. And what you have is no Scatterboo. So now we got to see how the Giants look with Dart, who's not that good, and Scatterboo, who's missing. That's going to hurt because, you got to, if you got a good running back, the defense has to watch the running back. Now it's just go after the quarterback. Frisco, I don't know. They're so injured, no receivers, no defense. They got McCafferty, they got Kittle. We'll see, but they're a very hard team to pick right now because you just don't know with all the injuries. That's the problem with the injuries. How good are the backups? And that's really what you don't know. New England 545.5 to Atlanta. Penix is playing, and Drake May. Who cares? Atlanta, an under team, 22 defense. Their offense, their coaching's terrible, and their offensive coordinator is horrible. You got too much talent between Penix, B.J. Robinson, Drake London, the other, and Kyle Pitts to not score 30 a game. New England, on the other hand, is a B team with an 18 with Drake May, who wants to run a lot. Morning, Alex. How are you? What happened to Houston yesterday, Alex? Jesus Christ. Losing to West Virginia like that? Oh, wow. So how good's New England? They got the Mike Vrabel defense going. They got an 18 defense, but they haven't played anybody. They played Buffalo. It was the only game. They're a good team in the week schedule. What does that mean? I don't know. Surprised. Glad I didn't bet on them. Yep, I didn't bet on them either. I didn't trust them after they lost to Oregon State, or barely beat them. The Wegman threw 3 picks. Where did their defense go? I don't know. David, Drake May, they are saying is doing great. Who's they? I say he's not. So you can listen to they, or you can listen to I. He's running the ball well, so they think that's good. I don't think it's good. I think if we need Drake May to win a game, is he going to win the game? We don't know. We'll see. Maybe we see here against Atlanta. I think this game will be close. Alex, is your big play going today? Well, it was Mississippi State, Arkansas over with a pro team. So the pro part of it's playing today. And I have one other lock. So the first lock was Baltimore with the team today, and the second lock was Mississippi State over Arkansas with the game today. So I have 2 locks in the NFL today. And the first one I already won, Baltimore and Mississippi State, Arkansas over, which was probably the easiest lock I've ever done at 60. I mean, Jesus. Blake Shapen's looking good, and then Arkansas just scores on A&M 50 points. So never a doubt there. Drake May is making progress. They love to exaggerate on developing quarterback. Oh, yeah, Caleb Williams, the best quarterback that ever played. And Lamar is a 2-time MVP somehow. Better than Mahomes, apparently. My big play yesterday was UNLV over and NC State over. NC State, I don't know. They found an offense. Georgia Tech, I was surprised, lost the game. But, yeah, that was a big scoring game. NC State, to me, I mean, they were an over team. They got a 30 defense, all right? And I know Georgia Tech runs the ball a lot with the 20 defense. But NC State, when you looked at who they scored a lot on, it was like high school teams. They hadn't really done well against good teams. So I looked at that, and I decided to take Georgia Tech and Haynes King. But I wouldn't have big played NC State over. They didn't. It's hard playing an A team with a good defense and getting there. So I don't know what happened, but anyway, they got there. Didn't you have SMU over Miami? I mean, that had to be the easiest game on the board. You know, Miami's going to choke. Let's see. Where are we at? All right. San Diego goes to Tennessee. San Diego 9.5, 44. San Diego has to win. They're a game behind Denver. We'll go through standings in a minute. Tennessee's the worst team in the league. Cam Ward's absolutely horrible. And they got a 29 defense. San Diego all over in this game. Herbert against Ward. We'll do teaser trends in a minute also. Carolina, Green Bay 13, 43.5. Carolina, Steve Young is playing against Love, who's very inconsistent. Carolina's the W team, 24 defense. Green Bay, I don't know what they are. I'm calling them a B team with the 21 defense. Love does not do enough. And they're working in Micah Parsons. Last week against Pitt, he was standing up and running in. So I don't know if they know where to put him. I think standing up's good. It's hard to get a lot. I got, like, if he's right over you, you just say, I got him. But if he's standing up, he can go any of three holes or three gaps, I guess they call them. So I don't know. It's a big line. I can't imagine Green Bay losing. We will see. Mini's now up to 9.5, 48. We bet them at 8.5. That's our free play, which I gave out 4 or 5 days ago. Detroit's a game behind, or a game and a half actually behind Green Bay, because if they tie, Green Bay's got the edge. Green Bay beat them. So Detroit has to keep winning at home. And, oh, by the way, it's J.J. McCarthy. What the hell is he doing? Carson Wentz must be injured, but J.J. McCarthy, what's he going to do? Throw 5-yard passes against the Lions? Absolutely terrible. That's your free play. Lay the 3.5. Try to get it to 3, and this will be a 20-point win. It'll be like 40 to maybe 13, maybe something like that. The Bears in Cincinnati. The Bears 2.5, 51.5, and we've got Joe Flacco playing. Caleb against Flacco. This makes Cincy a very live dog. I mean, Caleb's going to go on the road and win as a favorite. Caleb. Okay, sure. So you got Cincy as a home dog with Flacco. There'll be points. They're a live dog in the game. Bet it as you will, but the last bet I would make is Chicago here with Flacco. Without Flacco, I would have probably taken Chicago, but not with Joseph Flacco, because then he hits Jamar Chase and he hits T. Higgins. And that's why we like Flacco. He's got the experience, but he's hitting Chase. He's understanding that. Alex, lost your Navy over that game. Should have gone over. Yeah, I thought so too. I didn't play it, but I was tempted to play Navy, and North Texas just has a defense too. David, TK, you think the Raiders got a chance? I would never bet on the Raiders. You don't know what team will show up. I think the addition of Brock Bowers makes Oakland a much better team today. I think that opens up Gentry to run, and it's Jacksonville and Travis Hunter, who isn't that good anyway. Hurt his knee in practice. He's out for the year on an IR. How the fuck do you hurt your knee in practice? Would you slip on a bar of soap in the shower? So I think the Raiders they're a good home dog here because Jacksonville is not that good. And I know it's without, first of all, they lost 31-0 to KC. That's your first thought. Then they have a bye, but then they get Brock Bowers back, which opens up everything for Gentry. Because now you got to double team Brock Bowers, and Geno Smith can throw the ball to Brock Bowers, and he won't look as bad as he's been looking. So I think they're definitely competitive today. Can they win? They should. They could. We'll see. But just a week. I'm not sure how strong their defense is, but it's Trevor Lawrence, a terrible quarterback. Alex, I got Denver and Detroit teased today as my big play. Denver plus 8.5, Detroit minus 2.5. Cincy and over in that game is live. Well, I think they're both live plays. Again, the Bears aren't going to go on the road and win. And then the over becomes good because they have no defense. So Cincy and Pitt are these over teams all of a sudden. They have no defense, but with Aaron Rodgers, they're going to score, and with Flacco, they're going to score. So, we'll see what happens, but the science sounds good. you've got over teams with the quarterback. So Flacco, to me, he's no Joe Burrow, but he's much better than Browning, who I think, even if you had Browning, the way he ended the Lion game was pretty good. So I think he could throw the ball. See, he wasn't throwing the ball to whatchamacallit, to Chase. So Flacco knows to do it. He hit him 16 times last time. So we will see. Denver, Houston should be a good game. We'll see on that. New Orleans goes to the Rams. The Rams 14-44. New Orleans, the Z teams, and they're starting Tyler Shaw, who played at Texas Tech, transferred to Louisville when he got beaten up by Morgan or Morin, whoever the quarter, Morton. And so he went to Louisville, and he was okay. Big deal beating out Rattler. I mean, Rattler stinks, so I don't know why they went with him, but maybe it was smart to let Shaw get used to it, but Shaw's not going to do anything. Look for the Rams in a shutout here. Stafford, they get Pukanuka back. They had a good defense. They got running. And what does New Orleans have? Olavi and Kamara, and that's about it. And I think Shaheed, another receiver. But you don't have a quarterback to throw the ball to him. Jacksonville and Oakland. Jacksonville 2.5, 44. Jacksonville's an under team, 22 defense. Oakland's a Z with the 26. Lawrence against Geno Smith, but the big news is Brock Bowers back. Anytime you get a guy like Brock Bowers back, it's just a huge, it opens up the running and the offense, and the defense has to double team them, so that takes players away where they didn't have to double team anybody before, so they stopped the run. KC Buffalo, the game of the day. KC 52.5. Both A teams, 16 defense. KC, Buffalo 21. Mahomes against Allen. KC 7-1 in a teaser this year. Not Buffalo. They've lost a few. The New England game's very troublesome. It's a tough one. Normally, Buffalo should be favored here, and we're all over KC as the dog. But do we take Buffalo as the dog? Do I want to fuck with Mahomes? Probably not. So it's a tough game to play. We'll see. Seattle, Washington. Seattle 3, 48.5. This is up from 46 because Penix is playing. Seattle's an 18 with a 19 defense. They got a pretty good defense. But Daniels just has a knack of scoring and sliding up and hitting the guy wide open right in stride. McLaurin's out. Who gives a shit? Deebo Samuel is playing. They got other receivers. They got good running. Washington is hard to grade because with Penix, they're a B. Without him, they're an E. And a 25 defense. It's hard. Now, Seattle gets a break. It's 8:20 at night, which is 5:20 for them instead of a 1 o'clock game where it'd be 10 in the morning. So Seattle definitely gets a break here. Darnell against Daniels. Like I said, we'll go through the teaser trends in a minute. And our last game's Arizona at Dallas. It's Brissett. Murray was I'm playing, but I'm not playing. Brissett looks pretty good against Dak. 2 interception a game, Dak. Arizona an under team with the 22 defense. Dallas an over team with the 31 defense. So normally it's Dallas over. They're going to score 35 here, especially at home. They put up 40 on Green Bay, but they seem to do it at home and not on the road. I don't know why. And then, but they give up 31. So look for Arizona to have a big game offensively. So, this should be, you need 48, you need 20, 25, 24. So very doable. Dallas will get in the 30s, as we know. Teaser trends. Denver 24-2 the last year and a half, all Bo Nix. Houston 23-3. It ain't because of CJ Stroud. Very good defense. Indy and Pitt. Indy 21-4 in a teaser, 8-0 this year. They're our golden child. Nothing in San Francisco and the Giants. New England is 7-1 in a teaser this year overall. San Diego 9-2 in a teaser. Play against Tennessee is a home dog, 7-1. Play against Tennessee last year and this year 22-3, which we can't really use because they got a new coach and they just got another new one, and they got Cam Ward. But they are play against this year 7-1 Tennessee. They got the upset at Arizona. So Tennessee's a good bet against. San Diego 9-2. If you lay 9, you lay 3. Harbaugh is as bad as they get. But Herbert should do it. And then Cam Ward should be blitzed a lot. And the way San Diego's defense is, it's going to be hard for Ward. They'll probably get shut out there. Green Bay 9-1 is a home favorite. 7-1 if you play against them, and play against is a road dog. I think that's Carolina. Carolina 7-1 play against, and play against them as a road dog 3-0. So they're not a good road dog. And Green Bay is very good at home. Play against Minnesota this year 6-1. Detroit's not a great home favorite. They lost to Tampa last year. They lost to Buffalo. They lost to Washington in the playoffs. So they're not as good as you think. They're better against weak teams. And here we get a weak team with the weak quarterback, and they'll have them for lunch. Let me put a score down since it's the free play. Let's go 40-10 Detroit. How does that sound? About right. Chicago, Cincinnati, play against Cincy play against Cincy 21-4, but that goes back to last year, and Joe Burrow's there. Play against the Bears, I got 7-1 as a road favorite, so they're not a good road favorite. LA and New Orleans, play against New Orleans 7-1. Play against them as a road dog 8-1. Take the Rams 20-5 the last year and this year. So you got 17 games from last year plus playoffs, and now we're in week 9, so that's 8, maybe 7. I think they had a bye. So 20-5. So they're good in a teaser. They understand the line. Jacksonville, Oakland, play against Oakland as a home dog 6-1. But you got Brock Bowers. And that's the problem when you just use the technical analysis. Well, Brock Bowers missed a few weeks. I can't, it doesn't, it's almost like you need Brock Bowers playing, Brock Bowers not playing, or Jalen Daniels or Penix or any of these guys when they're playing versus when they're not playing. I think that matters. Alex, I think the Bears could win. After all, the Jets were there and won last week, but it's improbable. Definitely would bet on the Bears. Well, but, first of all, we're not talking about that. The Bears are 3-point favorites. So you got Cincinnati +9. Last week, it was Cincinnati +1, and I think it was a push, or did they win by 1 or 2? I don't remember. But I'm not saying the Bears can't win. I'm just saying with Flacco, they're a live dog getting 9. The Bears aren't going to win by 9. Or you go over, as you said, as the Bears score a lot with this new offense. Their defense isn't very good. They have 3 of their secondary guys are out. I think they're out for the year. And Cincinnati with Chase and their defense, I don't think Hendrickson's playing. Or if he is, he's got a bruised hip and he doesn't care. He didn't get his contract. So he's sitting out half the game, especially with Burrow out. I think if Burrow was playing, Henderson would play. But with Burrow out, he's like, fuck it, I'm not playing. So to Cincinnati with no defense, but with Chase. So you're betting Chase to score and the defense to give up. The Bears can score, and the Bears give up. They're not going to stop Chase. So I think that's what you have there. Let's see. So the Rams are 20-5 in a teaser the last year and a half, which you can count. It's Stafford and it's Sean McVay. Okay. Kansas City 7-1 in a teaser this year. They've been a dog for us a few times, which were locks. Seattle 6-1, 12-1 on the road, not as a road dog, but on the road. So they're like 5-0 as a road favorite and 7-1 as a road dog. But together it made more sense. 12-1 on the road. However, Washington 23-5, which is really like 23-2 with Daniels. They're 7-0 play against this year. So they're both. So they'll play a close game. They're very good as a home dog here. Seattle's very good on the road. So, probably be a very close game, and you can tease either way. That's how I read these. And Arizona 6-1 in a teaser, play against Arizona 7-0. Arizona plays a lot of close games. So for this one, it'll be high scoring close game. In a teaser, the best teams, Tampa Bay, which is off, the Rams, Arizona, New England, Indy, Houston, Denver, Kansas City, and Seattle. They're over 85% in a teaser this year and this year plus last year. So mostly I go back the last 25, 30 games, gives me a fair data point. However, this year, Seattle's looking, they're very strong. Play against the JETSs, of course, Miami, Pitt, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Arizona, Philly, which is a surprise, Carolina, New Orleans, and Minnie. And you can see it's mostly the Z teams, except for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. What are they doing on the list? Well, Philly's struggling this year, and this just could be this year's thing. And of course, they're off this week. Philly's not, especially in a teaser, right? They're laying 7, you get 13, and they're winning by 3 on the stupid push tush, which needs to be thrown out. When you can't call a motion on the offensive line, when you screw up the fumble calls, what are you doing, fellas? If you can't rough it, you can't call it. It's not rugby. We don't have a scrum. It's called football. There is no scrums. There's no pushing. So you got to get rid of it. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. It isn't football. And that's what I'm missing. They're getting out of it. They're getting out of what it is, right? Where did the kickoff go? How do you get rid of a kickoff? Well, people can get injured. Oh, you know what? Why don't y'all put on dresses and let's play 2-hand touch? And then maybe nobody will get hurt, but you'll probably still pull hamstrings. And it's ridiculous. It's football. People get hit. It's like auto racing. People get into accidents. You're driving 200 miles an hour, 20. Of course, there's going to be accidents, but that's the sport. It's driving 220 miles an hour. Of course, you're going to get hurt in football. It's a contact sport, of course, but that's fine. That's what we want. That's the product. We're the market. We want football, but we don't want this kind of football. We don't want. Explain to me where the ref's 2 feet away and the guy catches the ball and he calls it out of bounds or he calls it inbounds. That's the call. That's it. Goodbye. Why are we reviewing it? Why the fuck are we reviewing everything? Why do we need the refs then? They never can make the call. They're 10 yards behind the play and they whistle it down and then they call the guy like they know where he landed, which is absurd, from 10 yards behind the play. How the hell do you know where he landed? And then half the time they're putting it where the knee was, but it's supposed to be where the ball is when the knee hits. Too many bad calls. Refs, the whole thing's gone. We need instant replay, but we're going to a 10-minute commercial. So you'll fall asleep waiting for the game to come back. And then maybe we'll show you what the refs saw, and then they'll still screw it up. It's just really retarded. In the baseball game, all right, let's talk World Series. So we pretty much touched today. Free pick Detroit, 2 locks going, and pretty much I've given you. Let's go through the quarterbacks. Denver, Houston, Knicks against Stroud. Indy, Pitt, Jones against Rodgers. Frisco Giants, Jones against Dart. Atlanta, New England, Penix against May. San Diego, Tennessee, Herbert against Ward. Why is Ward playing? Carolina, Green Bay, Young against Love. Minnesota, Detroit, J.J. McCarthy against Golf. Why is McCarthy even drafted? Chicago, Cincy, Caleb against Flacco. New Orleans, the Rams, Shaw against Stafford. These quarterbacks. Jacksonville, Oakland, Lawrence and Smith, 2 minor leaguers. KC, Buffalo, Mahomes and Allen. There you go. Seattle, Washington, Darnold against Dallas. Okay. And Arizona, Dallas, Brissett against Dak. So that's your games for today. We had Lamar very big, minus only 1 to a shit Miami team with the 27 defense. And they win 28-7. Love it. All right. Let's talk World Series, and then we'll take a peek at college for next week. Again, it's 11:34, not 12:34 now. World Series. It's the worst umpiring I've ever seen. The umpire behind the plate should be fired. He can't call a ball and a strike, or he doesn't know what they are. Pitches that are, if this is the line and pitches are up here and he's calling them strikes, doesn't understand what the hell he's doing, should be fired. A lot of missed calls. The players don't even know. They think they're walking. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. walked and they call it a strike. It's just terrible. And I like that he said something to the ump. He says it's low. It was low. I mean, I'd be taking the ump. I'd be just in his face. This World Series, fuck you. The worst call was the plate. He was clearly safe. The catcher never had his spike on the plate. He picked it up. The guy slid in. He's safe. No, he's out. Well, let's replay it. Well, he's still out. Oh, I'm sure that's honest. Oh, it's not fixed. So you fixed it for the Dodgers. You don't even have a clean World Series. Very disappointing. What the hell are you doing? And the bad calls made Toronto not score on a few times because they were strikes instead of balls. So you get a 3-1 count. It's a lot easier to get a hit. I thought the Toronto manager really fucked up. That Yazabert, who's got that nasty sinker, should have come in the 8th and 9th, not in the 6th and 7th. I would have went with Scherzer longer. He's scared to pitch to Ohtani. Just fucking walk him. I don't even know why you pitched to Ohtani. Just walk. He didn't get a hit anyway. I think he hit a single. Again, on a pitch at the dirt, you can't pitch him there because he has a golf swing. You've got to pitch him belt high and higher. What is so hard to understand? Now, I played baseball, but it's just logic. You can see he's got a golf swing. So just don't pitch it where he's swinging. Just pitch it over where he's swinging. It's not hard. So you pitch him carefully, you walk him. But I would not have gotten Scherzer out. I would have let him go the 6th and 7th. And then brought in Eiserbert in the 8th or 9th, and you couldn't hit that guy. To give up a home run to Max Muncy and then to give up a home run to the second baseman hitting 120, why would you throw a slider right down the middle with 2 strikes on the guy? And then the next batter comes up and he throws it over the outside corner where he should have thrown this guy, where even if he hits it, it's not going to go be a home run. Terrible managing. Again, Hoffman, if he's their closer, they need a new closer. He's terrible. But I would have pitched Eisenbart as long as you pitched him for 2 innings anyway. What are you wasting the 6th and 7th to pitch him the 8th and 9th? I don't think the Toronto manager is very good. I don't understand these interviews in the middle of the play. You're going to interview the manager. Are you insane? Do it between innings. Oh, wait, there's commercials. Well, you don't interview him in the middle when he's got to manage. That's his job. Would you do an interview with John Smoltz as he's calling the plays? Hey, John, yeah, I heard you got a nice house in Atlanta. Yeah, it's bases loaded and 2 outs right now. I really got to analyze the game. And no. Let's have an interview in the middle of your job. What is that? Who are these morons doing interviews in the middle of play? And he's trying to manage. I'd have told him to fuck off. Sorry, meet me after the inning or meet me after the game. I don't have time now. I'm working. This is what they pay me for, to manage the team. So I thought it was a lot of bad. The pitchers were terrible, giving home runs to Max Muncy and the second baseman, Chevas Rivas. Are you kidding me? And then this whole extra inning thing was a joke. But Toronto got screwed in the ninth. The guy had his spikes off the plate. The guy slid in. He was safe. Why are we instant replaying everything? But we know the ref, the umpire, the home plate umpire is paid off by the Dodgers. So we're running into a fixed thing. So when they review it, obviously the rest of the cast are paid off by the Dodgers. Now they can say, oh, Shotani, back-to-back world champion. He's the best player in the world because he went 0 for 10 his last 10 at bat. I forgot to do pictures for Daria. So anyway, it's very frustrating. You want to watch an honest game. We don't want to watch WWF, which is what we got. I mean, watching a fixed baseball game, as soon as it was over, I turned it off. I don't want to hear interviews. I'm sick of this Shotani guy. Go back to Japan. Nobody cares. But they're trying to market. That's why they won. They're trying to market him. He's 2-time champ now. Well, yeah, you fix it for him. Of course he's going to be champ. So Toronto got totally screwed in the game. Shouldn't have blown the 3-0 lead anyway. Giving home runs to those two guys, those two bums that hit 120 is ridiculous. But again, that's the manager not understanding his pitching. That pitcher should have been Yazabart or whoever that young guy is who they couldn't hit. He should have come in the 8th and 9th, not 6th and 7th. And I would have played Scherzer through the 7th. Fuck it. Oh, they got a hit off of him, so I'm going to take him out. Did you bring in somebody better than Scherzer? I don't think so. And they're trying to say how bad Scherzer is. And that's what the managers don't really understand. You pull your, like the Tigers, they struggle. Hey G, how are you today? The Tigers struggle because they don't understand um, that their best pitcher is Scooble and everybody else sucks and their bullpen sucks. So when you get into a game 5 elimination, he's going to give you your best chance to win. Why would you pull him? He's got to go 9 innings because I can't. Mickey Lawless went 9 innings, had no problem. All right. Sorry about that. You never know when you get there. Yeah. I lost yesterday's pick because I guess I didn't parlay the right games together. No, well, Ohio State, we lost by a point on the under in that game. You should have won Mississippi State over. That's played with the game today. So I don't know how you would have lost that one. But still play the other half of it then. You still have 2 locks today you can play. Yeah, we lost USC, but they were with Ohio State. So it was already lost with Ohio State. Mississippi State overs with today's game. That should still be alive for you. Or play the 2 locks today. You can play with the free game or whatever you want. Anyway, so I find the managers extremely stupid. Who's your best pitcher? Scooble, Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson. That's who should be out there. And that guy should, what is with the pitch count? Why are we pitch counting? Who said pitch count? Who said 100 is the right? And if you're managing that your pitchers are only going 100, you should be fired and working at the grocery store. You don't know what you're doing. That leads me to the Florida-Georgia game. Same concept. It's 4th and 2 for Florida at the Georgia 20, and Georgia's winning 20-17. 4th and 2, what does the coach do? Oh, let's go for it. It's only the Georgia defense. And this is his best play. He runs up the middle and loses a yard. And instead of kicking a field goal and getting up 6, and then if Georgia scores as they did and made it 24-20, it would have been 24-23. A field goal wins for you. But this coach, obviously, and very much over his head, as most of these coaches are, has no clue of maybe I shouldn't go for it on 4th down. Maybe I need to kick field goals when I'm at the 20 because Georgia, I'm not gonna run up the middle and gain a yard on Georgia's defense. It ain't gonna happen. Maybe on I don't know, maybe on Clemson's defense or Northwestern's defense, but not on Georgia's defense or Alabama. I mean, to go for it on 4th down you're an idiot. Maybe Arkansas's defense, you can get 4th and 1, but most defenses, SEC, you're not doing 4th and 1 and gaining it on a run up the middle. Maybe if you do the dipsy do and you double reverse and you throw back to the quarterback and you do all that and bullshit, maybe you can get it. But you know what? Even if you get it, you still have the ball at the 20-yard line. Now it's 1st and 10 at the 20. So let's say you got it. Now it's 1st and 10 at the 20. Now what do? Well, we'll probably run 3 plays and kick the field goal anyway. So we've risked the field goal for a play that has no chance of working. And at best, if it does work, we're just going to kick the field goal 2 minutes later. What is the point of going for these 4th downs? What is the reward? You get to play 3 more plays and kick the field goal? It's just incredibly stupid. You don't do anything if there's no reward for it. I missed. So the risk we buy gold because the reward's huge, because we have to get out of the dollar. The risk is the dollar goes to zero. The reward is we're in gold, and we watch it go from 2,000 to 4,000. That's a good reward. That makes sense. Silver, we're buying it at 20, 22 an ounce. Now it's at 50. That's our reward for getting out of the dollar, and to get out of the dollar before it goes bankrupt. I warn you to get out of stocks before they go bankrupt, but that's the point. So the other thing is, why are you risking on fourth down? There's no reward in it. You get the ball, but so what? And that's what it goes back to baseball. So pulling Scherzer, your reward was what? Who'd you go with? The guy who you brought in is not as good as Scherzer in a big game. You should have kept him in at least through the 6th or 7th inning. And then you go to that. And don't tell me he's out of gas. Bullshit. He wasn't out of gas. He's a smart pitcher, so he knows how to pitch, even if he is out of gas. Better than anybody you had on your team, except for that Yzerberg guy. So again, you keep him in, and then you go to him. You go to the kid in the 8th and 9th inning, and you win. So you just cost yourself the World Series. Reminds me of the Lions going for it on 4th down, costing them the Super Bowl. Again, the coaches don't understand why they do what they do. They do it because analytics say to. Well, that's not a reason. Well, everybody makes 4th down. No, only Philadelphia and Buffalo make 4th downs because they do a push. They cheat, and Buffalo has Josh Allen, who I can't believe hasn't been seriously injured yet. And that's it. So, and then you've got a fixed World Series. You've got the guy pulls a spike off the plate, but he's somehow out. Well, how can he be out? The spike wasn't on the plate. Are you insane? And he slid there and he was safe. Again, and then, but even worse is you have a bad pitcher out there who gives up a home run to a 120 hitter because he throws the ball inside. It was like Kirk Gibson's home run. The only way he could hit it is if you throw him a curveball, because you couldn't hit a fastball. You had a pulled hamstring. So what did you do? The guy hitting 120, what do you do? The only place you could get hurt is throwing the ball inside or right down the middle instead of on the outside, where even if you hit it, it's just going to be a fly ball to right field. So again, a lot of suspicious things. I was listening to an NBA thing, and they think the whole league is fixed. They think everybody in the league is doing it. LeBron, I'll show you a LeBron video where he's in charge of it all, and he's throwing games and giving out medical information on other players that are injured, and people are betting on it. So LeBron is the king fixer. He should go to jail. I think he is. You invited the FBI, and you don't want to play with the FBI. So I think the whole league's. I would not bet basketball. It's all fixed, and it's puzzling. You're paying these guys $30 million a year. What the fuck are you fixing games for? Well, because we gambled, we lost money gambling. Well, you're still getting $20 million, $30 million a year. Maybe try paying off the gambling. No, we'll just shave points, and then the bookies the mafia will let us off. So that's where the mafia gets them. They let them get in the hole, and then they say, well, how are you going to pay it off? Well, I guess I'll shave points. And then the mafia can bet a lot against whoever who's going to shave the points, like in the Gambler movie with James Caan, where the kid, you can't win by more than 7, and he dribbles the time off, and they're up 6 instead of dunking at the end like he always did. But that's what you get. But these guys, like, do you really need to gamble? What is the reward? I mean, betting football, we can analyze it, and then we can make money betting it. But you can't know, you're risking the money, but can you make money? Can you get the reward? The reward's picking it, and we can pick. If we couldn't pick, there's no reward. We'd lose all the time. So again, that's what's happening. But the World Series definitely fixed. It's a shame. Toronto should have won. They had the better team. The Dodgers. It's too much Ohtani. It's like Tiger Woods. It's just you just want to throw up. Oh, he's the greatest player ever. I had one radio guy in Detroit say he's the greatest player ever. He's better than Babe Ruth. Oh, did you see Babe Ruth play? It just makes you sick that these announcers, they're still saying the Tigers will win the World Series next year and the Lions will win the Super Bowl. And it's stop already. It's just fantasy and it's just noise. And I got to change the channel when I hear that crap. The Tigers are going to win the World Series with their pitching and hitting. You've got to be kidding. And the Lions going to win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff? I don't think so. All right. Let's look ahead to college next week. Let's check our big games. And of course, we start with what we start with Miami of Ohio on Tuesday, UMass Akron, the battle of the Z teams. Then we got some more MAC on Wednesday. UTSA South Florida. That should be a 100-point game. That's on Thursday. Houston UCF, terrible game. Friday, Tulane Memphis. Friday, Northwestern USC. Friday. And then Saturday. All right, let's look. Indiana goes to Penn State. If the spread's less than 14, I'm going to lock Indiana. They're just so good. And Penn State's now on a 5-game losing streak, and I'm not looking to that streak's going to end. Indiana will kill them. Georgia goes to Old Mississippi State. We might have an over there. BYU gets Texas Tech. This is a battle for the conference here. This is a great game. This is the big noon game. Well, no, it's the ABC big noon game. Fantastic game. Texas Tech's quarterback Morton's back. BYU has a freshman quarterback, but he looks good. They got a great defense, both teams. This will be a great game. The Citadel goes to Ole Miss. I guess we're not betting Ole Miss next week. Ohio State goes to Purdue. They'll kill them. Let's see. Our Duke goes to UConn. That's actually a pretty good game. Iowa State goes to TCU. We might hit 100 there. Kansas goes to Arizona in a fun game. Kansas we might get as a dog. Oregon goes to Iowa. Very interesting. Iowa with a tough defense and Oregon, tough team. I probably need less than 10 to take Oregon there. A&M goes to Missouri. Missouri lost their quarterback, Prabli, who's their backup. A&M, you can't stop their quarterback. Missouri will be a 7 to 10 point home dog. I don't know. Auburn goes to Vandy, our Vanderbilts. Daggio came through for us again. Texas with a lot of bullshit, little side passes, wide receiver screens and shit like that. That wasn't. I'm impressed with Arch Manning. Jesus, he sucks. Auburn Vandy should be a good game. Washington goes to Wisconsin. Cal goes to Louisville. See, now Cal's got to travel to Louisville. This is ridiculous, this whole schedule. Wake Forest goes to our Virginia team. I think they won by 10 yesterday. They did cover. They went to Cal, I believe. Cal or Stanford. Florida State goes to Clemson. What a shit game this is. Florida State did beat Wake Forest yesterday, so they must have found a new quarterback or something. I'll have to look at the box score. Navy, Notre Dame. Now, Navy's pretty good. Notre Dame, I don't know what happened last week. Were they looking ahead to Navy playing Boston College? Notre Dame at home will be good. They normally bury Navy because they're scared of them. LSU at Alabama. Who's the LSU coach now? Bobby, did you get the coach? Are you the coach? I like to see Bobby on the sidelines. Alabama. Alabama says here 6.5, 53.5. How can you not just jump on Alabama? This will probably be 12 tomorrow, so this could be our look ahead game. Florida goes to Kentucky. Florida should have beat. If they would have kicked the field goal, they might have beat Georgia. But when you got an idiot for a coach, that's what happens. Nebraska goes to UCLA. This is a very interesting game because this is new UCLA now. And that's it. San Diego State hit Hawaii. San Diego State, very good team. What did they do yesterday? I don't remember. They beat Wyoming 24-7. That's and Hawaii lost to San Jose State 45-38. So San Diego State's won 5 in a row, beat Northern Illinois, Colorado State, Nevada, Fresno State, and Wyoming. And by the way, Fresno State pounded Boise yesterday. It was a weird day yesterday. These Halloween games are always weird, where you would have thought, oh, Boise's going to win, and it's maybe by 10, and Fresno State kills them like 24-6 or something. And that's where you kind of get lost in that, where what you thought would happen wasn't even close. All right. So I want to show you this LeBron thing. I had to watch Mark McGuire like 3 times to try to figure him out. It's a tough one. So let's look at LeBron, and then we'll do a little Mark McGuire. So LeBron exposed after FBI raid. They raid him, and he's going to jail, I believe. But let's.
For them when they win, I criticize them when they're messing up in an effort to make sure.
So this is all on the FBI finding LeBron is responsible for all this fixing going on. What the fuck is he doing? He gets $50 million a year. Why are you doing this? Are you out of your mind? Do they think, well, I can fix games and it's not a big deal? Are you insane?
That you don't do it again. I'm not wishing anybody to fail, but I have to call it how I see it, because I have an audience to answer to. These players, I don't get paid to talk to.
LeBron James is now under serious investigation, and the entire sports world is in shock. FBI agents have raided his homes in Los Angeles and Ohio, revealing that this case goes way beyond basketball. The operation, called Operation Nothing But Bet, has taken over headlines everywhere. What began as a quiet probe into insider betting within the NBA has exploded into one of the biggest scandals the league has ever faced. Investigators are tracking suspicious money transfers, secret messages, and leaked medical data, and every trail seems to point toward the man once believed to be untouchable.
Individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for
The first major crack in the story came when LeBron's close friend and former teammate Damon Jones got indicted. And that changed everything. Court filings revealed that Jones had been secretly selling inside injury info before big Lakers games, including one against the Bucks in February 2023 and another versus the Thunder in January 2024. In one text, prosecutors say Jones told someone to get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight. Just hours later, LeBron mysteriously sat out that very game with an ankle issue, and the Bucks won easily. What seemed like a clear-cut case against Jones suddenly turned massive when agents started showing up at LeBron's homes. FBI teams reportedly seized phones, computers, and financial files, searching for connections between Jones's betting ring and a top player's money network. That player being LeBron himself. Officials haven't charged him yet, but fans are already asking if he's really just a witness.
First indictment involves 6 defendants. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams.
The scandal exploded when LeBron's longtime friend and ex-teammate Damon Jones got indicted. That's when things got real. Court records show Jones was selling inside injury details before major Lakers matchups, like the Bucks game in February 2023 and the Thunder clash in January 2024. Prosecutors even revealed a text where Jones told a contact to get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight. Hours later, LeBron sat out that same game with an ankle issue, and the Bucks rolled to victory. What looked like a simple case against Jones suddenly got deeper when federal agents turned their focus toward LeBron. FBI teams reportedly raided his LA and Ohio homes, grabbing devices and financial files while looking for any link between Jones's betting ring and a star player's accounts, that player being LeBron. No charges yet, but the whispers say he might be more than just a bystander.
More breaking news this morning. 2 big names in the NBA among more than 30 people arrested in connection with federal investigation into sports betting and illegal gambling.
The real twist in this saga comes from the FBI's latest findings. The NBA insists LeBron had no clue about Jones's betting. Sources even told The Athletic that their bond was purely personal. But as the investigation deepened, something changed. Federal files revealed agents weren't just tracking Jones anymore. They were digging into his communications with LeBron himself. That's when a new name popped up on the warrant, LeBron James. And everyone's asking the same question. Why seize files from his homes if he's only a witness? The warrants even mentioned coordination of privileged information, a term rarely used unless conspiracy's on the table. What's more shocking? The key Bucks game happened just 2 days after LeBron broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. He sat out right after the celebration, the very night Jones allegedly sold his betting tip. Even if it wasn't intentional, the timing looks way too suspicious.
Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra, to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese.
You can't overlook the timing of all this. The NBA is already fighting a massive integrity crisis, with federal charges hitting big names like Chauncey Billups and Miami's Terry Rozier under the same operation, nothing but bet. But now all eyes are locked on LeBron. When footage surfaced showing FBI vehicles outside his Brentwood mansion, the internet went wild. Some said it was just fallout from Jones's mess, but legal experts weren't buying it. The FBI doesn't raid a witness's house unless there's more to uncover. LeBron's can't.
All right, so I think we got the gist of that. He's obviously guilty if they're after his house, not just a witness, probably the mastermind. So in other words, he doesn't. It's like Lamar last week. He doesn't tell you he's sitting out, and then you go and the line comes out as if he's playing, and then you bet Milwaukee or whatever, bet against the Lakers. And then when the bets are in, he says, I'm sitting out. The line probably changes, and of course they're not going to win without him, as if, if Penix says he's playing today and then doesn't, or Flacco says he's playing today and then doesn't. Now you got the backup. And that's basically what happened. So the whole NBA is fixed. I wouldn't make a bet in the NBA. You got to be very careful. The whole thing's horseshit with this. What is it, man? The waste management where they sit down and they don't play so they can rest because, oh my God, they're only professional athletes, and to play a basketball game for 48 minutes, oh my God, they need they need to rest because they're only professional athletes. It's just sad, and this is the nature of it. But this is what you got in the World Series, and I'm sure it's in football. You see some strange games going on that you're like, how did that happen? Like last week, Atlanta losing to Miami, like 30-3 or something. How did that happen? That makes no sense. Atlanta just laid down. That's a fix. Penix didn't play. They laid down. And then Miami plays Baltimore, and it's 28-7, which is what you expect from Miami. So it's the expectations that are the fixes. You expect this to happen. You expected Baltimore to beat Miami, and that's what happened. Today, we expect Detroit to beat Minnesota. Now, Detroit's probably the last team I would expect to fix a game, right? I'd be shocked if the Lions were to fix a game. Even when Golf throws his 5 interceptions, it's just because he stinks. It's not that he's fixing. The World Series, on the other hand, the umps obviously bet on the Dodgers, and the league obviously wanted Shotani. And so when it was a close play at the plate, there's no way it wasn't going. It was going for the Dodgers, even though the guy never touched the plate. It's still going for the Dodgers. It's pathetic, and if I'm Toronto, I'm really pissed. That's why you needed to not rely on that. But even then, the runners really didn't run properly. You got bases loaded, move on the hit. The guy was slow. But anyway, that's neither there or there. Just I find the umpiring and the refereeing in these football and baseball games is horrible. Not even close. The guy can't even call a strike. What are you doing in the World Series, man? You don't even know what a strike zone is. And in football, it's the line. It's a first down. I can call it. I'm 10 yards behind the play. I'm going to call it. I mean, what is that? And then the referee, the coaches are probably the worst coach and manager I've ever seen. And you had Billy Martin, and you had Leland, and you had the guy for St. Louis with the long hair guy. He was at Oakland. I can't think of his name. I can picture him. I can't think of his name. Those are great managers, right? Earl Weaver, great. Earl Weaver would have won that World Series in 4 games. But this is the worst. This Toronto manager's an idiot, and so's the Dodger manager. Yeah, let's play this guy hitting 120 at second base. And then the announcers, oh, what a good play playing. No, it wasn't a good play. They pitched him inside instead of that. So you have that. So we got to be careful when we bet our football. What we expect to what actually happens is the difference. So we expect Detroit to beat Minnesota as we expected Baltimore to beat Miami. And we don't know what we expect. KC Buffalo, we expect a good game in that one. All right. So that's what we do. And that's where you're at with it. So what you expect, we expected the Mississippi State, Arkansas to be high scoring, and it was. We expected Ohio State, Penn State to be low scoring, but we got that bullshit fumble just before half. That was the killer. Otherwise, we win easy. All right. Let's watch Alligator.
China has usurped gold, classifying it as the only liquid zero counterparty risk, high quality liquid asset.
All right, let's just listen to this section.
Simply to how many naked long speculators holding open interests could be sucked in before just simply pulling the plug on the strategically timed
COMEX-centric margin borrowing cost increase, which by no coincidence came in double whammy as gold was rising. Now, this planted, it's form-fitting. This kind of form-fitting mainstream media analysis illustrates that the mainstream media's lack of understanding of how dislocated the legacy gold and silver unallocated, unbacked, leverage price setting COMEX exchange has become versus the SGE, the Asian, the physical supply demand based price setting mechanisms that have evolved, and that very short term spec induced volatility aside, the COMEX is no longer in control of setting the global price of gold. Sure, short term. And we'll probably see more into FOMC today. Who knows? Doesn't matter. It's just really rinsing out all the froth. Now, what's missed?
What does that mean, rinsing out the froth? So here's my, this is my, this is my note to Mark McGuire. Stop the graphs. Only Keynesians use graph. As you say, I never use a graph. I can't follow you. It makes no sense. Who are the speculators? He says speculators. Who are they? Is that JP Morgan? Is that the banks? Why did gold and silver go down? It's not clear. Stop talking gibberish. Yes, I said gibberish. No one understands you. Physical gold should never go down. No one wants to get back in monopoly money. Your graphs are too hard to follow. Your words are not able to follow. Clean it up. You're teaching a class. You're a bad teacher. You're teaching a class. I don't know what the UT is. They changed it on me. You're a bad teacher, so I need to fix that up. I don't know if I said not or I said something, but you're a bad teacher, basically. Let me, I can edit that. You're teaching a class. You're a bad teacher. There, so I fixed it up. You can edit these if you go into that. So basically, I'm telling him, I don't, he uses these graphs. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what he's looking at. He's looking at something. Just say it. It used to be 38, it's now 40. You don't have to. Do I use a graph for my football? No. And I don't use it for economics. It's not necessary. You don't need graphs. All right.
By the majority of the legacy market analysts is
what's he showing us?
These are the people that pen pieces on Financial Times, and actually many of the newbie, what we call the newbie tourist gold experts that appear on Bloomberg, etc. You know, they're just not used to talking about gold. So they haven't made the connection between the Bank of International Settlements reclassifying gold as a first-tier net stable funding ratio compliant asset class on the 1st of January 2023, as can be evidenced by the dwindling open interest, really, into the subsequent $2,500 rally, legacy rally, that real money open interest has exited the COMEX, exposing old school COMEX driven price setting games. They're just no longer fit for purpose. Gold's risen over $2,500 since that point. Now, this very sticky real money has only just commenced gaining exposure to high quality liquid asset physical gold outside the paper dilated LBMA CME ring fence. Now, what's not being secured and physically removed from underpriced paper diluted local London fixes is being secured in the very liquid Chinese SGE influenced Western facing SGEI, international facing physical exchanges.
That's Shanghai Gold Exchange, since he won't tell you.
We've been tracking this Beijing to US gold war since 2010, and it's significantly picked up since then. Now, this is gaining traction, big time. Gained traction after Russian assets were seized into an openly weaponized US dollar. and in the sanctions that relate to that. And the official de-dollarization Beijing literally threw down directly after Trump tariffs were threatened. So they literally openly said, right, okay, you want a fight, we'll have a fight. We've got the gold. And here are just three of these most recent takes. I just say, call them take the gloves off mandates to attract global gold buying and storage. US sanctioned Russian asset seizures and tariff wars are evidencing China de-dollarizing, and most definitely this has Trump's attention. China aims to become custodian of foreign sovereign gold reserves to strengthen its standing in the global bullion market. Driven by Beijing's opening up direct convertibility to the yuan to gold and gold to the yuan FX structure, initial investors, financiers, hedgers, etc., operate in a smoothed out, true, physically settled supply-demand price, and is a primary reason the dollar's share of global reserves on a balance sheet has surpassed US Treasuries. Now, this Financial Times assessment here illustrates that foreign central banks now hold more gold than the US Treasuries. However, given this official data fails to include thousands of tons of unreported monetary gold central bank buying, and with China alone securing a conservative 80,000 tons, and Russia, India, Saudi, and the BRICS another 30,000 tons, the percentage is far likely closer to 60% and rising. Now, in the meantime, Chinese and Indian gold and silver buying continues to compete with Western ETF demand. Gold is not rising, it's simply evidence that the dollar is being diluted with gold holding its purchasing power.
Gold is going up. They can say all they want, it's the dollar losing value. The dollar can't lose any more value. It's worthless. So gold going up is due to the demand of everybody wanting gold. Will force the price up. As any item, any asset, if the demand is high, how do you think you get a $110,000 Montana rookie? It's got nothing to do with the money. It's the demand for the Montana PSA 10, the Mantle, the Willie Mays. All the cards I show you is due to the fact that the demand is high, pushing the price up. Just like gold and silver, it's due to the demand pushing it up. The dollar is worthless. So I don't know what he's talking about there.
It's that simple. So the de-dollarization process is a natural event. And circling back to who and what was likely behind the official gold pushback against an out-of-control China orchestrated BRICS plus dollar to gold de-dollarization escalation, i.e. just swapping dollars for gold, of the many ideas that have been trial ballooned, other than adopting the obvious choice of revaluing US Treasury gold to market to partly back the US dollar with gold, which will actually be enormously beneficial for the dollar, let's examine the various possible official White House to BRICS pushback options. Now, what could they be? There's really basically a couple. It could threaten to sell all its gold reserves. These things have been discussed. It could threaten to sell all their gold reserves in an attempt to devalue China's BRICS influence. Really? Given that deliberately unaudited US Treasury holdings are to an unknown degree rehypothecated with double ownership claims. So in order to sell its 8,100 tons of gold to effect this pushback, the US Treasury would have to first buy back billions of related underwater Office of the Comptroller bets, which would spike gold even higher. It's too late. The horse has bolted, and the US is left holding less than 1/10 of what the BRICS collectively hold. Less than. So US gold reserves are literally far too small to actually push back. And another reason, and this is another one which we've seen in the past. I think Saylor talked about it. We had various other people in the past pushing back and saying, hey, well, why don't we do this? Especially with the stablecoin mandates being pushed out. So the other idea, and this is what we're going to look at, is that because it's been trial ballooned more recently, that the US Treasury may try to back its 38 trillion of debt. And that's just official. It's much larger than that. But let's just say they want to back its 38 trillion of debt with freshly generated dollar-backed Treasury stablecoins. Now, however, and essentially what they're doing is that would attempt to devalue this 38 trillion of debt by forcing US Treasury debt on other global central banks. In other words, you've got to use our stablecoin. However, this ignores the fact that the physically gold-backed yuan stablecoin is already one-to-one exchangeable for gold. And those being forced to receive these dollar stablecoins, trade with them, have the option of immediately squaring these debt-backed dollar stablecoins back into gold by way of instant settlement into BRICS, Russia, Chinese-led gold-backed stablecoins, thereby laying off this US dollar debt. I don't see it happening. I don't see it working. Now, this relentless BRICS gold demand has driven the legacy paper market to an impossible to maintain divergent inflection point that can only be resolved by one of two events. And we've looked at this: either a massive bid only, T+1 margin call, spiking gold thousands of dollars higher, or far more equitably for the US, resolved by a more orderly US Treasury gold price revaluation. And of course, all the liquidity providers, all the smart people are saying, well, of course, they're going to choose that option. So, you can trial balloon all this other stuff, but there's the reality of it. Now that global physical exchanges have become sufficiently liquid to benchmark a real supply gold bullion price outside of the CME LBMA ring fence, the stealthy gold revaluation process that already commenced directly after the BIS revalued gold has gathered sufficient global momentum to force the US Treasury gold to be competitively revalued. Once it's revalued, the US will want a stronger gold price. And as we've been drawing attention to, every single non-dollar denominated fiat gold price, pound, yen, whatever, euro, whatever you want to look at, has been dragging lagging dollar gold price into its all-time highs. They've all been into all-time highs way before gold did. And yes, we will see from time to time the US is able to push back the dollar gold price from time to time, as we likely see again today, into gamed FOMC volatility. But it's limited to how much COMEX, derivative open interest, can be laid off against a dwindling number of speculators siloed outside the real market price setters. They don't even know what that price is. And as we've been focusing on, the real game changer is that China took off the gloves the moment the yuan gold became fully Basel III compliant, and opening up Western-facing institutional grade one-to-one ability to one-to-one vault their bullion in vaulting facilities, which are able to eliminate unallocated gold counterparty risk. It creates a much more stable environment. Your gold is stored in physical environment. Now, this is what Trump is actually referring to when he accuses the BRICS of fighting a war on the dollar. We talked about that. He was saying they're fighting a war on the dollar, and we're going to push back. And as we have just outlined, there is little doubt that the White House is looking for solutions. And as we just evidenced, net of what dwindling open interest that can, from time to time, be short-term flushed out,
And these underpriced derivative discounts capitalized on by the SGE price smoothing flows of a physical environment, the COMEX derivative market has become a price taker. So net of this piffling volatility. So historical price manipulation is not a sustainable option. So if you've been a stacker, then obviously you welcomed and embraced it alongside every central bank, every institutional buyer who have not stopped buying. Now, with some 100,000 tons of BRICS Alliance gold backing a sufficiently liquid global price setting mechanism, so that would be 80,000 of tons in Beijing hangs. Then you've got Russia, India, Saudi, and BRICS. A best estimate aggregate of 30 tons. So that, there's
50,000
100,000 tons there.
30,000 tons.
And as we've just outlined.
So Russia, the rest of BRICS is 30,000. I think it's 50,000. They got 130,000 tons.
Inherited, and must stick in their throat. They've inherited a comparatively insignificant and very compromised 8,100 tons of US Treasury holdings. Therefore, it leaves very few options to really bolster debt-riddled dollars from being depreciated by debt-free, first-tier, high-quality liquid asset gold. Very few. So in summary, China has accumulated sufficient physical bullion to price its debt-free gold currency, foreign exchange cross, against the debt-riddled dollar and US Treasuries to be able to retaliate against flip-flop uncertainty of US sanctions. The ability for central banks, sovereigns, and all categories of Western-facing global investors, hedgers, producers, etc., to be able to treat gold as a high-quality liquid asset on their balance sheet is driving the next wave of gold demand sufficient to discover a gold price that doubles current estimates. So there you have the LPMCL, you have the CME, you have the old cartel. They're not even categorizing gold as this high quality liquid asset. Yet you'd only have to hop one small boundary, and there it is. So to explain this, while on the 1st of January, 2023.
This doesn't explain anything. So basically, he's just saying BRICS has, I'm going to say 130,000 tons of gold, probably 150,000 tons, because gold, Russia's got 20,000 and India's got 30. I know between the jewelry and Putin and everything else, together they're a lot more than 30,000 tons. So that's 130,000, 140,000 tons BRICS has. You have the gold, you win the game. The U.S., maybe they have the 8,000 tons. I doubt it. I doubt it's theirs. It's China, I think. So what the end game is, what he said, or he's going to say, is they'll revalue it. So they have two options. The best option is just to revalue the gold at 30,000 an ounce or whatever it is. But now we're at 38 trillion. So we went from 37 to 38 trillion an ounce. Not good. Anyway, let's look at football one more time. And it's weird because it feels like 1:30, but it's really 12:30. All right, let's go NFL. I'm going to go news first. Is there any new news? Aaron Rodgers, reeling Steelers host Daniel Jones, Red Hat Colt. Yeah, we know that. We don't care. Why did they say how to watch? It's on TV. What do you mean how to watch? The Bears, DeAndre Swift is out. Luther Burden's out. Case Keenum's out. Roscoe Johnson, Ruben Hypocrite, and that. Bengals inactive. Sean Clifford, Marco Wilson, Logan Wilson, Dalton Risner, and OB. What's an OB? Jermaine Burton. So, and Trey Hendrickson. So it's looking more like an over. You've got Flacco and you don't have Hendrickson, but you don't have DeAndre Swift. So it could be a Cincinnati play or an overplay. Vikings, Lions, Jeff Okuda. He's still in the league. He's terrible. Nobody there. Lions, Kirby Joseph, the safety. That's it. Nobody. Panthers inactive. Hunter Renfro. That's about it. Packers inactive. Dotanian Wicks, a guard, another guard, a defensive lineman, and a defensive. Nobody I've ever heard of. Broncos, Texas. Broncos inactive. Patrick Surtain is out, which we knew he was. Marvin Mims is out. So it's going to hurt Denver a little. Texas inactives. Damian Pierce, the running back. 2 offensive tackles, and Dylan Horton. Falcons, Patriots. Falcons inactive. So I don't see Penix on here. Nobody really. Patriots inactive. Ramdamni Stevenson and Danny DeVito, the emergency third quarterback's out. Oh my God, how can they play without Danny DeVito? And Stevenson will be a big loss. 49ers, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall. That's about it. Giants inactive. Nobody we've ever heard of. However, they don't list the wide receiver Malik Neighbors. They don't leave Scatterboo. So it's really a faulty list when the best 2 players aren't on the list. But they're not inactive. They're on IR, I guess. Colts and Steelers. I know nobody on the Colts. Even if it was a star, I wouldn't know him. Steelers, Scotty Miller, Jabril Peppers. He's still in the league. He's terrible. That's it. Nobody big. Chargers, Titans, Tony Jefferson, a safety I've heard of. That's it. Will Disley, the tight end. Titans inactives. Calvin Ripley, Xavier Woods. This probably will be a shutout. Let's see. The Jaguars, Travis Hunter on IR with a knee injury. I love it. What a wasted pick that was. Joe Flacco to play through the Soldier in week 9. So you could probably go over there. Packers Rocky 1923 Classic throwback uniforms for week 9. Oh, God. Do people really care? Oh, I'm going to run out and buy that because I've got the green and white and the green and the white and green Packer. Let me buy the 1923 one because I don't have it. I didn't even know they played in 23. Falcons got Penix and Drake London back for week 9 versus the Patriots. So that's going to be a competitive game, I think. Seahawks, Cooper Kupp unlikely to play on Sunday Night Football. Well, he's always injured anyway. Jalen Daniels back week 9. Lions giving away a very special bobblehead to fans. That was like 20 years ago, bobbleheads. St. Thomas, who cares? Yeah, I should go to the game, pay $500 a ticket for a bobblehead. Bears rookie Kyle Monogany gets big-time opportunity in week 9. He's from Rutgers. J. McCarthy makes the return. Pacheco out for the Chiefs. That's about it. Well, I want to get to the other games. Show more. Well, I guess just Pacheco is out. Hunt will play. I don't know. That's it. All right, so let's go through the lines one more time. Houston 240.5. Indy 351.5. Frisco 2.5, 47.5. New England 545.5. You got Penix now. I think that's a live dog. San Diego, Tennessee. San Diego 9.5, 44. Green Bay 13, 43.5. Detroit 9.5, 47.5. The Bears 351. I don't know why the Bears are still 3-point favorites. How could that line not move? And Flacco's playing, and the running back's out for the Bears, and Hendrickson's out for Cincinnati. Excuse me. So we will see. New Orleans and the Rams. The Rams 14-44. They're going to kill them with Tyler Shaw. Jacksonville 2.5, 44. Little money on the Raiders. The Raiders, will give them a game, I believe. KC 252.5. Line hasn't moved. Mahomes and Allen. Seattle, Washington. Seattle 3, 48.5. At Washington, Daniels is back. Look for Washington to play him a game. And Arizona, Dallas. Dallas 354. Look for a lot of points there. Baltimore 28-6. So that's your thing. I think we'll call it a day. Let's enjoy the games. It's daylight saving, so it's only 12:40, even though in our minds it's 1:40. Why is there daylight savings? I have no idea. It used to be so the farmers in the 1800s wanted more light, so they wanted the light later in the day, and then in the spring it was bring it in earlier in the day, so they would harvest different things. But that's what it was for initially. But this ain't the 1830s, so I really don't know why it's still here. What is the point? It takes our body 6 months to get adjusted, and by the time it's adjusted, we switch it again. This is the better one because it actually goes backwards, so we get an extra hour. Where in March we wake up and we've lost an hour, and that's ridiculous. So it should just stay like this. There's no reason for it. Anyway, good luck on your games today. I got 2 locks going. And basically, World Series fixed, Game 7. Terrible umping. They better get better umpires. They're really bad at, like, the catcher moves his glove and the ump says it's a strike. It's not a strike. The ball came across the plate as a ball. There were several bad calls yesterday, leading to more, how real are these games? And if it's doing this in basketball, it's doing it in football, and it's doing it in baseball. Anytime you see a weird spot or a weird penalty, you just assume it's a fix now. The easiest people to fix are the referees and the umps because they don't make much money, and it's much easier. Here's 50 grand. You call a bunch of holding penalties. All of a sudden, San Diego gets 16 holding penalties against the Giants, and the Giants win. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's very difficult. Teasers help us because, again, they're not trying to beat. So we got the Lions, 8.5, 9. They just say you can't win by more than 8. Not you can't win by more than 2.5 in a teaser, and that's the difference. Or Baltimore was 7.5. You can't win by 7. In this case, it actually wasn't a fix because they won 28-7. And it's funny. It's always the favorite team you can't win by. Then okay, go ahead and beat them by 30. So it's just pretty funny. But it's a lot of these guys gambling. I don't know why you gamble when you have $20 million. Um, right now we've got our gold and our silver, and I have less enthusiasm to go play poker because I know I can buy $300 worth of silver, and I'm going to be way ahead of buying playing 300 in poker, and hopefully I win. And it's funny now. Before you could take 300 and buy 10 ounces of silver. Now you buy 6 ounces of silver with 300. It's just that's what you don't see. Gold. You have $10,000. I used to buy 5 ounces of gold at 2,000 an ounce, and now I would get 2 ounces of gold roughly at 41, so it'd be 8,200 for my, and then 2.25 ounces as opposed to 5. That's happening, and it's just going to get more and more expensive. And people go, well, no, that's fine. That's what it should do. It should get to its real value. Just like we want to see a real baseball game, not a fixed one. We want to see a real football game, and whoever wins, we can deal with it. We don't want to see a Ric Flair Hulk Hogan match that's scripted. It's funny when you watch these interviews, is wrestling fake? It's not, the moves are not fake, although some of them are, they don't hit the guy, right? That's another problem. They throw a punch, but it stops. It's like stops here, right? So boom, 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 and the guy hits the floor. So in that regards, it's fake because you're not really hitting the guy. Your figure 4 leg lock really doesn't cause any pain. The rock bottom, he's not really doing anything. So that's why people think wrestling's fake. And the match is decided. The Montreal screw job, or whatever you want to call half of these things, are scripted, that we know who's going to win. Hogan's going to put this guy over. The Rock, Stone Cold, they're all scripted who's going to win the match. And that's what we now have in baseball and in basketball. They know who's going to win. And it's a shame that this is where we've come. You're paying the athletes 20, 30, 40 million dollars. You would think it would be an honest game. And now it's the worst it's ever been. It's never been scripted in the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You never had a script. It was pretty much what you thought. And lately, the last 5-6 years, it's just ridiculous. The refs are terrible. You need instant replay. Why do we need instant replay? To make it look like the game's honest, and then you screw the call anyway. So the guy's safe at the plate because the catcher lifts his spikes, and you still fuck the call up. It's just ridiculous. You just wanted to see a clean World Series, but we didn't get one, unfortunately. And if the Toronto manager had a brain in his head, he wouldn't have pitched to Shotani in Game 3, and you wouldn't have won 18 innings, and they would have swept them. They would have won 4-1 in LA. My last thought is, I don't know with that Mr. Fuji pitcher, the guy who pitched Game 6. Why do they watch the pitch right down the middle? The pitch will go right down the middle, and they watch it, and then they swing at this a screwball that goes down, and it's out of the zone, and that's the one they swing at. I don't understand why they don't hit the one that goes right over the middle of the plate. Very strange, but it's all fixed, so it doesn't matter. It's terrible. The integrity of baseball is shot, basketball is shot, and football is on its way. This NIL stuff is just ridiculous. So anyway, I will leave you with that. So let's go watch some football. It's now 12:47. Gold will be back in play tonight. Look for $5,000 gold by the end of the year. It has enough room to go. There is no profit taking, and there's no run up and then it has to go down. This is not a stock. Why people think it's a stock, I don't know. It's not. It's the dollars being worthless. So everybody's buying gold. It's not even close to being overvalued. If it went up to 10,000, it would still be undervalued. So I don't really get, there's pullbacks and there's profit taking. any analyst you see on YouTube that talks about it, Andy Scheckman's one of them, they don't know what they're talking about. We basically call them idiots. You do not profit take gold ever. You do not, there's no pullbacks. Why are you pulling back? Why are you stupid enough to play options when it's a physical market? You should be buying physical gold and silver. It's not an option to play paper. It's not an option to take your profit. And so that's just idiots doing that. If you're playing paper gold, you're going to lose. You'll lose everything. It's stupid because you keep hoping, you keep shorting it. You think, well, the price is going to go down. No, it's not going to go down. The price is so undervalued. It's not going to go down. It's going to keep going up. So it's really hard to understand that. Anyway, have a great day. 2 locks going. Free play Detroit, Minnesota, laying the 2.5. You might be laying 3.5 if you waited till now. I warned you to bet it when I told you. Listen, young ones. And that's about it. So www.teaserking.com. If somebody makes a deal with me and does not fulfill it, they will not be able to make any more deals with me. And you know who I'm talking about. So that person better respond to my email or you won't be getting any more picks. All right. Have a good day. Go Lions. Beat Minnesota. All right. Take care, everybody. All right. Have a nice day.